All right, moving on. We have next establishing a partnership, STEM Education Center and Worcester Technical High School.
Thank you all for coming to our presentation. Today we'll be presenting on our project, Establishing a Partnership, STEM Education Center and Worcester Technical High School. My name is Molly Silsby.
I'm Samantha Woodland.
I'm Allison Robatic.
So to start off our project today, we wanted to go over our table of contents for this presentation. So starting off, we will be discussing our project background, which gives context to our project. We will next move into our methodology, which gives an overview of the steps that we took in order to complete our project. Then we will move into our findings for our project, and finally, our deliverables. So starting off with our project background can be split into 4 main categories. The first being the STEM Education Center at WPI, which is our acting sponsor for this project. The second is Worcester Technical High School, or Worcester Tech, which is another major stakeholder for our project. The third area is the lack of STEM educators in the nation, and the fourth is college and high school partnerships.
The STEM Education Center at WPI works to promote inclusive and relevant STEM education for all learners. They offer a pathway for undergraduate students to obtain an initial teaching license in Massachusetts alongside their bachelor's degree through the teacher preparation program, as well as professional development for current STEM educators and programs for community outreach within the greater Worcester area. They also serve as an on-campus IQP center where they complete STEM education-related IQPs as well as consult on STEM education research.
Worcester Technical High School is located within the Worcester Public School System. This school combines traditional and vocational styles of education. They currently have about 22 trades ranging from anything like biotech to drafting to welding to cosmetology. They have a high sense of student achievement at this school. There's a 98% graduation rate, and some of the highest test scores can be seen here from the district. The school also has some pre-existing partnerships with other institutions, including Becker, Clark, and Tufts University.
Around the world, but especially in the United States, there's currently a shortage of qualified STEM educators due to a variety of reasons, such as teaching barriers, such as a lack of information on how to become teachers, financial reasons, ineffective recruitment and retention of qualified STEM educators, and a lack of professional development for current teachers.
So in order to combat this problem in education, some colleges have partnered with local high schools in the area in order to create a better teacher preparation program. So in this presentation, we wanted to outline 2 schools specifically, the first of which being High Tech High, which is a project-based learning-focused series of elementary, middle, and high schools in San Diego, California, which actually did something super unique where they embedded a graduate school of education within their school system so that graduate students get direct experience working within a classroom. And more locally at Clark University here in Worcester, Massachusetts, their Masters of Education program partners with one of 6 different Worcester Public School System schools. And they also had a big part in creating the University Park Campus School, where graduate students can work directly in an urban classroom environment. And currently 2/3 of the University Park Campus School teachers graduated through Clark's program, so they have a high retention rate. And also both colleges and schools have seen drastic improvements in their communities due to these partnerships.
So this brings us into our goal for the project, which is to establish a formalized relationship between Worcester Technical High School and WPI that would equally benefit both stakeholders. And next we'll take you through some of our methodology, and we'll begin by outlining the 4 main objectives of our project. So the first is to identify the wants and needs from both WPI and Worcester Tech within this relationship. Next, we would analyze the data from what we identified. And then we will take the data and create our deliverables. From there, we will take the deliverables and evaluate the effectiveness of them.
So starting off with our first method, which is to identify the wants and needs from both of our stakeholders. Our team did this through a series of interviews with each of the stakeholders. So we started off with interviewing members of the staff from the STEM Education Center at WPI in order to see how their students could work with Worcester Tech. For this partnership, we then interviewed members of the staff at Worcester Technical High School, ranging from administration to both the vocational and academic side of the school, again, seeing how WPI students could help benefit their school. We kept all of our interviews open-ended and conversation-like, as we did not want to have bias from our team leading them in some sort of way.
The second objective was to analyze the data collected from our interviews. Each of our interviews were recorded and the audio files were uploaded into Otter, which is an online transcription service, in order to get the interview transcripts, which served as the raw data for our project. We analyzed the interview transcripts using thematic coding, which is a form of qualitative analysis in which we pick through the data and identify themes. We then organized the themes into categories, which served as a basis for developing our deliverables.
So for our deliverables, we've settled on 3 main types. The first being a Memorandum of Understanding, which is a basic formalized agreement. Next, we had 2 types of project recommendations, one more focused on the projects themselves, the other more focused on site-specific recommendations. And finally, we have a project center definition for our specific project center. And when we went into the evaluation stage, we focused mainly on the agreement, as we wanted to make sure that this partnership was something satisfactory to both stakeholders. So we heavily considered the feedback from both of them until we reached a point called data saturation, where no new feedback was suggested.
Next, we'll talk about some of the findings for our project. As you can see in this Venn diagram, these are the themes we identified from our interview transcripts. On the left, you can see themes identified from interviews with the STEM Education Center, and on the right, you can see themes identified from Worcester Technical High School. In the middle, you can see common themes identified from interviews with both stakeholders, which are common goals and wants from this partnership, such as a flexible partnership, starting small and growing, and benefit to students. Here you can see the categories we organized our themes from the previous slide into. The numbers associated with each category represent the percentage of themes that were classified in that category. For example, 33.9% of the themes we identified were classified into logistics for the project center category. Project ideas and student benefit also were mentioned frequently in the data.
So next we'll walk you through some of our deliverables. So as mentioned before, one of them is the Memorandum of Understanding, which can be seen on this slide. This laid the basic foundation for this partnership to grow. We wanted to make sure that we had some personalized clauses in there. For example, we had clauses that talked about the expectations from Worcester Technical High School, along with expectations from WPI. And there was also some definitions of roles, such as the advisors, site directors, or even the students involved. And again, we heavily took and considered the input from both stakeholders in this.
So moving into our second deliverable, which was a series of recommendations, we categorized all of our recommendations into 4 major areas. The first of which being is the teacher practicum program. Because the teacher prep program at WPI is already well established and has to follow state guidelines in order for students to receive their teaching licenses, we did not make any recommendations to changing the structure of the program, only that through this established partnership with Worcester Technical High School that more students could complete their teaching practicums at this high school. The second area is pre-practicum projects. For any student completing their teaching practicum, there's a series of pre-practicum requirements that they have to meet before they're able to do so, which mainly surround getting hours working within directly with students and also classroom experiences. Currently, the STEM Education Center works with organizations local to Worcester, such as the Boys and Girls Club, in order to complete these practicum projects. But we determined through our interviews that the pre-practicum projects could be completed at Worcester Technical High School, which would be good for the Worcester Tech students because not only would they have college mentorship and exposure to college students, but it could also provide them help outside of the classroom. The third area is IQP projects. Similarly to our project, there could be groups that come after us that work on further establishing this project center and this partnership and getting a pilot program set up and running. But we also thought that in the future, IQP projects working directly within the high school could be completed too, focusing mainly on STEM education. Our final set of recommendations is site recommendations, which outline specifically the next steps that need to be taken in order to set up the pilot program, as well as plans for future expansion of the program.
The scope of our project was to establish a partnership between WPI, the WPI STEM Education Center, and Webster Technical High School that will eventually become a project center embedded within Webster Technical High School, something totally unique that WPI has never done before. We looked into creating this project center off campus within Webster Technical High School, but in the interest of maintaining control and flexibility with the projects, we decided to keep it on campus in the future. We believe that teaching practicums as part of and pre-practicum work projects as part of the teacher prep program, as well as IQP projects, could be completed within this project center. Eventually in the future, we can see potential for expansion off campus, as well as potential for other projects such as STEM education related MQPs and graduate work to be completed at this project center.
Finally, we'd like to end our presentation with a discussion about the potential future impact of this project center and why we pursued this as our IQP project. So for starters, for the WPI community, it really truly expands the definition of a project center and creates more opportunities for WPI students at the of what they could create at project centers. Furthermore, for the Worcester Public School community, if a pilot program with Worcester Tech proves successful, this model of creating an MOU and a partnership with a high school can be replicated with other public schools in the Worcester school community and also some of a younger level like in elementary or middle schools. And finally, for the Worcester community as a whole, by creating this partnership, we're truly benefiting from each other. By having our college students partner directly with our high school students, we can really create a better STEM education for all of our Worcester students.
And we'd like to thank our wonderful and supportive advisors, Professors Joe Doran and Ken Stafford, along with our sponsors from the STEM Education Center, Kathy Chen and Sherry Weaver. Also, a special thank you to all the amazing staff at Webster Technical High School for their readiness to help us with this project. This project could not have happened without all of you guys. Thank you again, and any questions?
Great, thanks so much. Are there any questions for our STEM Ed team?
Hi, everyone. Really great job. Really glad to see this. I don't know if Sherry is also still on the call or wants to say anything. But you guys have moved us really, really far from this crazy idea to really making it happen. So I really appreciate all that you've done.
That's great. Sherry is still in the room. So, Sherry?
Yeah, thank you. I know I wanted to say thank you so much to this team. They are bringing to light a dream that I've had for a long time to be have this deeper and richer partnership with Webster Technical High School, a school that not only had a principal that was a WPI alum, but just is so in line with what we value at WPI. And this team really moved the ball down the field, and I really thank all of you for your hard work.
I have a question. Really cool stuff. I love the interactions with the university and the local high schools. As you look out maybe 5 years, if everything went how you wanted it to look, what would success look like? What would the program look like in 5 years if everything went your way?
Sure. So I think since right now we're starting it as the on-campus kind of classification, our idea is that it will hopefully grow in terms of we'll have other partnerships with other schools, kind of like Worcester Tech. So we'll be able to kind of have a whole like group of schools that we're able to do these kinds of things with. So in the future, we'd like to see more of those MOUs going out to other schools. Then we can consider this more of an off-campus, project center where we have more relationships and more sponsors for it.
That's great. Any other questions? Ken, do you have a question?
Of course. You know, it's very clear from the sponsor, the STEM Education Center, what this does for WPI. I mean, it really does open doors for opportunities for our student teaching and all of this, and that's a huge advantage. What is the singular biggest advantage that there is for Worcester Tech?
I think it comes a lot from the college mentorship, something that they really, because since they are very student success orientated, they really like having those visits to schools or having schools and college students come to their classrooms and kind of show them what their options are for the future, whether it is going straight into their trade and the workforce, or if it is going to a different type of school or college. So I really think that the students will benefit just from the whole collaboration with a college.
On that note, do you know what the percentage of graduates from Worcester Tech, how many do go to colleges, four-year colleges? What percentage is this?
Don't know the number off the top of my head, but it is like very good compared, I think, to some parts of the district as well. Like there's a lot more interest too, specifically because they're focused on trades, so they kind of gain more like, oh, this is kind of what I want to study and I want to keep studying it. So there's definitely a bigger push there.
That's great. Any last questions? Well, great. Well, thank you so much, STEM Ed, for a great project.